again. My name is Livi Michael. I'm the author of 20 books, one PhD thesis, several articles and short stories, and a play. I also run a podcast about short fiction called Small Pleasures, together with short story writer and translator Sonia Moore. I've taught creative writing for over 30 years, and my relationship with the publishing industry goes back even further. In that time, the world of publishing has changed dramatically, and my experience of it has varied a great deal. So the reason I'm doing this series is to share some of the things I've learned with you from working with thousands of writers, with my own creative process, and with the publishing industry. In this episode, I want to look at the idea of writing as a gift. People often talk about writing as a gift, but it's a word which has more than one meaning. It comes originally from the Old Norse word gipt, which means both present and wedding. In Old English, gift meant the dowry given to a bride's parents, and also it's related to the word gifan, or to give. So I just want to unpack these different meanings for a moment. We tend to use the word gift to mean talent or special ability. The implication is that it's something given to us, possibly God-given or mysterious in origin. Some people with a supernatural frame of reference do believe they're channeling words and images from elsewhere when they're writing. Hilary Mantel, for instance, believes she was channeling Cromwell in her great trilogy. Others believe their inspiration comes from God. I don't want to dismiss these beliefs. They express the sense that there is a mystery to the writing process, and I absolutely agree with that. I also think that the brain, or the mind, which may or may not be distinct from the brain, is mysterious in ways we cannot know, and that the creative process taps into networks or aspects of the subconscious that are not normally experienced. Perhaps ultimately the writing process can't be fully explained. All I know is that every day I feel nourished by writing, replenished rather than drained by hours of effort, and that does feel like a gift. It's not always easy. Sometimes I have to make myself sit down and just be with my writing, not judging it, but allowing it to be. Once I've made the effort, though, it always delivers. In that sense, it's the gift that keeps on giving. So that's the first meaning of the word gift, the sense of something that's been given to you. But there is another meaning from the Old English gifan, which is something you give to others. Now this bit can be more problematic, because how can writers give our work except through publication? I've often thought it would be so much easier if I just wanted to write without sending my work off to be rejected. But in fact, like most writers, I want to communicate. I want to get my work out there. And that's where the problems begin, mainly because writers have become dependent on other people producing and distributing our work for us. This is how the publishing world's acquired its power, in fact, by taking over the means of production and distribution, and by extension, the power to decide whether our work is publishable or not. In this sense, the gift of writing is the source both of our strength and our vulnerability. Also, there's a third meaning embedded in the word gift related to the Old English meaning of dowry, because it was an obligation or responsibility to give a dowry at a wedding, which was an exchange of gifts. This sense of obligation or responsibility is expressed also in the parable of the talents in Matthew 25:14-30. This parable tells of a master who was leaving his house and entrusting his property to his servants. He gave one servant 5 talents, the second 2, while the third received only 1. Upon returning home after a long absence, the master asked his 3 servants for an account of the talents he entrusted to them. The first and second servants explained that they'd each doubled the value of the talents they'd been given, and they were rewarded for this. The third servant, however, had merely hidden his talent, burying it in the ground, and he was punished by his master and evicted from the household. Note here the dual meaning of the word talent. In this particular context, it refers to a form of currency, but this parable is often used to teach the idea that people should use their God-given talents and resources. The gift given by the master is a kind of stewardship from which he expects returns. So these three different meanings of the word gift, of something given to, something given by, and obligation, seem to me to express the complexity of the writer's situation. Very few writers are happy not to give the gift of their writing to anyone else. Apart from anything else, the process of preparing our work to present it, another word with a dual meaning, to other people or to the publishing world makes us polish it until it shines. Possibly it's the act of giving your gift that allows it and you to flourish. Do writers feel an obligation to their gift? Do you feel an obligation to your gift? And if so, what is it? Is it to develop it or to give it or to get it out there or all of these? Is there still an obligation even if no one will publish your work? What if people will publish one kind of work that you do but nothing else? Maybe you'd quite like to write children's books or science fiction, but your publisher only wants you to write historical fiction. What's your obligation then? What if your best work, or at least your most famous and popular work, was the first thing you ever wrote? Nothing else has ever lived up to it in terms of sales or acclaim. What's the obligation then? Is it to try to reproduce your early success or to follow your gift wherever it takes you? What about all those writers whose works is never published? Do they have an obligation to write? Can you be happy if you aren't working on your gift? I suspect there's no one answer to these questions. Your answers might vary according to where you are in your career and according to your own particular beliefs about your writing. These may or may not be conscious beliefs. Sometimes they run very deep. So I'd love to know, do you think you have a gift and is it necessary to give it to others? What's your obligation to it? Please let me know your thoughts. In the meantime, this is Livi Michael saying goodbye for now and happy writing.